G'day. Welcome to the Inner Chief podcast. And today we're going to do a cracker of a Minisode, which is my 10 tips for running an executive retreat or a strategic offsite or your typical planning 1 or 2 day getaway with a team. I put this together for a couple of reasons. One is, look, a lot of the time you don't have a budget for bringing a facilitator or a coach. I do this all the time, and I know you just can't always do it. There's not always a budget either. That's just not going to come, right? So if you don't have the budget, you don't have the money to get a really good professional coach, then these are some of the things I want you to be able to do. Don't be afraid to do it yourself. Have a crack, right? So here's 10 of the things that I have found over the years that work. If you don't know, I do this all the time, right? So I take away listed companies across a whole range of sectors, non-listed, private, public. I've taken away boards, I've taken away executive teams, I've taken away even some of the large department heads of those departments. So this is not my first rodeo. Okay, I just wanted to say that. And some of you think I just do the podcasting and other stuff. This is a really big part of our business. And I've I've led a lot of very, very challenging offsites. I remember getting a call once from an oil and gas company saying we need you to take away exec team in Australia. And I said, okay, I did all the pre-stakeholder interviews. And one of the guys who I interviewed, without a word of a lie, he said to me in the interview, the problem you've got, Greg, is we hate each other. Right. So if you're in a position where there is very low trust, don't do this on your own. It'll backfire. Right. Find a way to really do this properly and invest in it. It is critical. I think it's massively underrated how important getting this right is. It is a magnificent opportunity to build trust, get aligned, have some fun, let off some steam. These are really, really important events. If you don't have them in your annual calendar, you need to put it in. That's why I'm doing this. I want people who don't do it right now to go and do it, right? Get out there, bring your team together. Right now, they might be working remotely. It's more important than ever that you get everybody together to talk about vision, strategy, roles, metrics, purpose, values, your rituals and traditions. All these kind of things are very, very important to a high-performance team. And if you don't have them, to be honest, you're not a high-performance team. You're just pretending. Okay, so here's a few things that I think are really important. Before you start anything, it's important to start with the purpose and what is it, the objectives that you want to go away to achieve. You might say, well, we need to review its vision, purpose, strategy. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just getting to know each other. You've got to start with an understanding of the problem you need to solve. Okay, so what goes hand in hand with that is some sort of diagnostic on the team now. So we use a high performance teams diagnostic that allows us to measure 25 factors that say, do you have a really clear vision? You've got a great strategy. It tells us what we should be focusing on when we go away so we achieve and target the most important topics. I want you to do the same. These are easy to create. Use SurveyMonkey. Ask 10, 20 questions of the people that are going so you can get right into the most important topics in your team. Okay, have a crack yourself. Trust me, it'll be worthwhile. It's wonderful also reviewing the responses to that when you go away. Okay, so measure what's going on in the team right now across the things that are most important for you and things like vision, strategy, roles, trust, all that kind of stuff. Then have a crystal clear agenda, right? So that when you go away, everybody sort of has a sense of what's going to be covered. They can prepare mentally for it. They can think about what's been happening in the past. I generally don't do any pre-work, but some people like to, right? I generally say, just do your reading and then that's it. Come with a fresh mind, right? But make sure you've got a very clear agenda. I've always taken agenda every single retreat we've ever done. Very often we leave the agenda. So take the agenda, but as conversation flows, you need, and everyone in the room needs to be prepared to leave the agenda if necessary. If there are more important things to discuss, don't move on, right? Particularly if there's an elephant in the room. Oh man, you just have to have the courage to bring people together and talk about it, okay? I remember once we took away an exec team, there's a lot of real challenges, a lot of mistrust in the team. And we just created this thing called the circle of trust. So I took them outside, we sat under a tree. I've done this multiple times now. And the thing that works is creating a space where people can talk about some challenging spaces. Say, out here in this circle of trust, we're going to cover some territory we don't normally cover. When we go back inside, we're going to be onto new stuff where we can really learn and grow and think about the future optimistically and deal some hope, right? So get the agenda right, but don't be stuck to it when you go away. 3 is have some great templates, right? Whatever templates, if you're doing strategy work, make sure you've got the best templates you can possibly get. If you're doing vision stuff, have a great vision process. If you're doing operating rhythm, make sure you know what the template or a way or the best practice is for operating rhythm. Make sure you got all that because it makes the sessions run a lot smoother. You get into better knowledge within the individual's heads. This is normally a pretty, it's an important couple of days. So make sure you really do the pre-work so when people get there, they're ready to go. Okay, so templates and frameworks are important. 4 is share facilitation if you can. If it makes sense, get everybody to run a session. You let them create that template, but have one person sort of understand the flow of the 2 days, but then get individuals to really own it. I find when you do that, people love it. They get involved more. They really enjoy a lot of them standing up and talking on a topic they love. So I think have a crack at that if you can. Get different people to run and facilitate different sessions. And obviously, of course, surely got lots of advanced notice and know the templates that they're going to use in order to solve or lead the session, right? 5 is go off the grid, right? Get away from the city, as far away as is practically possible from your place of work. The distance and the connecting to land and country or the sea just makes a difference to the quality of person that turns up. We want wisdom in the room, right? That is critical. You want to bring your wisest, best self. And often that happens miles away from the office. So get in your car or get on a plane and travel together if you need to. If you're just going to go away with your team, get an Airbnb, you're up in the mountains or at the beach somewhere, and just all go and stay together. It's a wonderful way to do it, okay? Because if you're off the grid, that's a wonderful thing, which sort of lets you do things, which is number 6, which is cook for each other. Do stuff for each other when you're there. Cook, clean together, stand around. Someone's responsible for dinner one night, someone the next night, someone cooks breakfast for everyone, right? Someone arranges a board game. Allow everybody to do something like that. So that's number 6. Do things together that are every day. It just has an amazing effect. Number 6 is ensure everybody knows the rules of the game. At the very beginning in your initial framing of the workshop or the retreat, make sure everybody understands some of the basic rules around phones and leaving the room and staying present and the language we use, the respect for each other, reinforcing the values. You might feel like it's a bit silly to go through it all, but I've found over the years, it just is really important to revisit that and set the rules so that people understand we want the best version of them in the room and nothing less is acceptable, right? Which obviously also means as you're going through, if somebody starts to sort of fade away, somebody in the room needs to go and have a quiet word to them and just make sure they're okay. Is everything all right? What's missing for you? Check in with them, right? And just look after them so they bring back once again. And if there is a big issue and a big problem, have a really good, respectful conversation about it. Number 8 is find time to tell story around the campfire or the dinner table about other parts of your life. Ask everybody to tell a story about their family. Ask everyone to tell a story about something they did that really defined them. Ask everyone to tell a story about their 3 favorite songs. Learn about each other. It's a wonderful way of humanizing and building trust and really getting the gel between everybody in the room just nailed. So make sure you tell story. Make sure, number 9 is make sure you hear from everyone. If you're going to be someone who's sort of leading the 2 days or the 1 day, whatever you're doing, please keep an eye out for the people that don't speak up as much. Now, that can be little things like, let's say you've got, you're brainstorming some strategic priorities and you know what the philosophy is and the way forward and how you're going to go, but you're looking for ways to maybe shift the dial a bit. It's really powerful to get everybody to sit down for a minute and write down their ideas before you ask everybody to share. That allows maybe some of the more introverted kind of folk in the room to just play to their normal everyday preference of thinking quietly, forming an idea, feeling comfortable about it. And then you might ask them to stick that up on the wall if you use post-it notes. And after that's up, then you might ask them to talk to it. So just make sure everyone in the room is contributing as much as you can. Number 10 is this, and this is how you wrap it up, Chief, is wrap it up, summarize, be really clear on all the tasks, actions, who is going to lead those things, and when they're going to report back, in what form, at what date. So everybody knows that what's happened here gets taken back to the office. You might now need to update your operating rhythm and say, okay, we've got a strategic plan that needs to be executed. Therefore, we need a monthly strategy execution meeting or something like that. So make sure when you wrap it up, you bring it to life, you then automate what we call automate the pursuit of excellence through your operating rhythm. Okay, so I'll just go through the 10 again. At the very beginning, understanding the agenda comes from being able to measure what's going right and not so good for you right now. Do some sort of diagnostic. 2, get the agenda really, really clear. Define the outcomes and make sure everybody knows what's going on. 3 is then use templates and frameworks so that the sessions run smoothly and we get to the really good gold dust in everybody's head. 4 is share facilitation, give everybody advance notice so they're really, really good at it. 5 is go off the grid. 6 is make sure you really do things like relax, cook, listen to music together, all those normal everyday things together. 6 is understand the rules of the game so everybody knows what's going on. Hold people accountable gently, kindly, but firmly. 8 is tell story about yourselves away from work, right? 9 is make sure you hear from everyone in the room. And 10 is wrap it up and automate the execution of tasks through your operating rhythm. Righto, Chief. Just remember, my final caveat is if there's low trust, don't do it without a coach, right? Also, don't do it without a coach unless if it's really high risk, high important stuff, I'd make sure you get a facilitator. And if you don't know anyone, give me a call. We'll either do it through Chief Maker, or we might better find someone in your region. If you're from another part of the world, we might better find someone who we can recommend for you who would be really high quality. Okay, Chief, that sums up for this week. The 10 tips for running an executive retreat, strategic offsite, whatever term you use. I really hope that helps. I hope you have a crack at it, and I hope you just get some fantastic results and align the team and build the foundations for a high performance environment. That sums it up for this week, Chief. As always, remember to stay epic.